from thebassist.net, and today I'm here at Basic Gear Review to share with you guys one of my favorite basses of all time, the Gibson Grabber. Pretty basic. We've got a tone knob and a volume knob, and the reason why they call this bass the Grabber, and everyone flips out when I first show them this, is you actually grab the pickup and slide it from one end of the bass to the other. It doesn't go very far, and it makes that really loud, annoying sound, so you've got to be careful when you do it on stage. But you know, it's enough tonal variation. It's not quite as different as, like, say, you know, on a J bass where the pickup is here and then all the way back here. But if you just listen to so it's just a little subtle variation. To be honest, most of the time I just leave it dead center. This particular bass is mostly original. I replaced the bridge a couple of months ago. I was playing a gig in, where was it? Ohio. I was playing in Columbus, Ohio at Rock on the Range, and some point in the set I looked down and my hand was covered in blood, and so was the bass. It was really brutal, so I was totally into it. But the bass it's normally got a pickup cover that goes over it. The original bridge has these really pointy saddle pieces that apparently I stabbed myself on during one of the songs, and so now I was just bleeding out all over the place. So it was pretty rock and roll, but I ended up replacing the bridge with something less painful. Then obviously I'm missing the truss rod cover over here. It says Grabber on it. That fell off at the last show, so I've got to replace it and put it back on. But other than that, this thing is totally original. I've wanted one of these instruments pretty much my whole entire life. And I really got turned on to this bass in 2003. One of my favorite rock bands is a band called Thrice. The bass player from that group is Ed Breckenridge. And he played one of these instruments on The Artist in the Ambulance, and he's been playing them ever since. And so I just fell in love with the tone that he got from it, because it's a really, really bright, mid-rangey instrument. It's 100% maple. The body, the neck, the fingerboard, everything. This is maple. And honestly, it's not plugged in right now. It is so loud. This is one of the loudest basses acoustically, just not even plugged in. And I think it's because of the maple. So it's just got this really bright, mid-rangey tone. This sounds really, really good when played with a pick. I always keep it strung up with really heavy strings, so this is my drop C bass. Right now I've got it in D standard, so anytime I'm playing with an artist where we got to go low and heavy, the guy I tour with right now, Shim Moore, this bass is on half of our set because, you know, that's what it needs. And I like the way that it sits in the mix for that kind of music, because usually if you're looking at, you know, the EQ, your kick drum sits in the low end and your bass is right next to it. Well, in heavy music, the guitar sits right next to it, you know, most of the time in the mix. And so where does the bass go? If I go where the guitars are, it gets muddy. Well, if I go too high, the bass doesn't really shine. So what are you going to do if you want to play notes that stick out? It's somewhere in the mids. And that's what this instrument does really well, is it's super mid-heavy. And like I said, I've wanted one of these basses since I was a little kid. I think you can actually see Mike Dirnt playing one in the Basket Case music video. I think it's the first time I ever saw one. If it wasn't a Grabber, it was a G3 or a Ripper. They all kind of look the same. And so anyways, I watched eBay for literally 10 years because this bass, you know, would sell for like $1,200 or something like that. It's not worth $1,200. It's a cool instrument, but it's a character piece. I'm only going to use it on heavy music or when I want the sound of a P bass with a bit more character to it. So, you know, I didn't want to spend that kind of money on an instrument that's not going to get used that often. So I just watched eBay for literally 9 or 10 years, and eventually one showed up at a pawn shop in Chicago for like $400. I just picked it up, it showed up and smelled like 20 years of chain smoking and cat piss. I kid you not. I had to bring this instrument back to life, not because it was in bad shape, but because it smelled so bad. So literally, I spent about a week revamping this thing. The hardware was all corroded, and actually this is a terrible story. I tried everything. I tried acids, things that I needed a license for, and they had to put a mask on. It was crazy. The hardware was so nasty. And I almost gave up. I was just going to buy new hardware. And I read on a forum that said, just put it in Coca-Cola overnight. Let it sit out in a bowl of Coca-Cola, not the other kind, and just put it in the fridge, and the next day it should be fine. I was like, there's no way that's actually going to work. It totally worked, and to this day, I have not drank Coca-Cola since, because I'm not kidding. The hardware was corroded and nasty. It was horrible. And now, I mean, you can see it's totally fine. It's perfect. And that's because of Coca-Cola. Go figure. Well, that's pretty much it. Thanks so much for hanging out with me and checking out my bass. One more time, I'm Jayme Lewis from thebassist.net, and if you want to find out more about what I do, come hang with me at thebassist.net or check out my YouTube channel. And by the way, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel at Basic Gear Review, and I'll see you next time.